with creating environments that excite people to see different films.
I just want to ask one more question before I throw it open to all of you. Making a film is a series of little compromises a lot of the time. And I wondered if there were any little compromises that were related to maybe notes or things that you had to do that related to gay content, that if you could go back and do sort of a director's cut of your career, that you would, you know, have fought harder for or changed. Or Christine, I mean, you've have a very uncompromising slate, but are there things that even you would have done differently?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not really. I don't look back ever. I mean, you know, I'm really proud of the movies we got out. A lot of times, you know, it's very easy for a filmmaker, for a gay or lesbian filmmaker who is, you know, very passionate about their movie to you know, to cry homophobia if, you know, the distributor wants to cut something. But sometimes they want to cut it because it doesn't work. And sometimes you do have to think about, you know, there are things I've cut things from every movie that I miss, but I wouldn't put them back. You know, I mean, it's just that's not really the way I think. You know, and we've gotten to make some really great movies that have crossed over and have meant a lot to a lot of different people.
David, when you made Three of Hearts back then, were there notes and compromises that you had to make to get that out?
As Christine said, I don't live in the past either, so I don't dwell on it. But yeah, there's a legal pad somewhere, and I could go through the whole. But I have a selective memory, so I won't do that. But yeah, no, I mean, what's perfect in life? There's nothing perfect in life, and I think any filmmaker, producer, and writer, anybody would say that, you know, if they had another opportunity to do something, they might try something different than what was achieved. But, you know, never living in the past, you know, as producers, I think we're all, you know, you move on, you know, to the next one, as Ed Wood said. You'll love the next one, but, and some hits and misses. But I think that the one thing about Prayers for Bobby, though, is I must say I've never been involved with a picture, and I've done quite a few films, and it resonates every time I see it. I mean, the editing room, it just really hits you in the heart. So I hope you all see it. And Dan and I, when we came here, said, so Dan bought the cards to, you know, on Main Street, you know, to hang up everywhere. And I said, well, maybe we should put them, you know, where there's no cards. So we came with a unique idea, which is, so if you're in a urinal at one of the theaters, you'll see Prayers for Bobby, because you got your attention, you're there, and you're doing, and Prayers for Bobby. So you guys, I think we're basically a lot of one sheets hanging now. And a volunteer put them in the women's room. So if you see our one sheet, I'm glad it's working.
That's a good idea. So if you guys have any questions, just raise your hand. Right here.
My name is Aaliyah Williams, and I have a short film here at Sundance called The Young and Evil.
That's very good.
Which is about a black gay teenager who's trying to get HIV, dealing with the soaring rates of HIV infection amongst black gay men in the U.S. right now. We've had interest from the major LGBT distribution channels, but once watching it, it is a very beautiful yet edgy film. It's too edgy for them. So what do you suggest for a young filmmaker such as myself in terms of getting the film out there as much as possible with some really good distribution behind us, and not just putting it out there on the internet?
What's your goal? What's your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is to get it out to as many eyeballs as possible, but also make some money.
I wonder if I would wonder on a film like that, and this is something we did. We picked up a film here last year. I know this is like a weird juxtaposition. We did this film called IOUSA, which is about the federal deficit, and we picked it up last year. And what we did is we did an event, this national event around this film, where we had a live town hall meeting, and we satellited it out to 400 theaters all in one night, and it ended up selling like 45,000 tickets for a pretty dry documentary about the federal deficit. And this was in August, before a lot of people, this issue was on people's radar. And I think what it opened my eyes to is, if you can eventize something, which your film sounds like you could create an event. It may not be a national event. You could do local events to make it about showing the film and making it about dialogue and making it something more than just going to a movie. It's talking about something and trying to create change. I think for whatever reason, that, and how to monetize that, a little bit of a question mark, but that becomes something that is potentially more appealing to people when you're talking about controversial, edgy, social action subject matter, because clearly you made it with the idea of talking about it, and maybe you can foster that.
I think if you can frame that, there are a lot of filmmakers out there like you who are making short films. Making money from short films, as everybody knows, is incredibly difficult. You might want to consider finding other filmmakers who have made films that are similar themes or play to a similar community that you're trying to sell to market to, and make a collective agreement that you'll put your, let's say, boys shorts, you'll put 4, 5, 6 of them together, and then approach a distributor and see if they'll pick it up, because then it becomes a complete DVD, it becomes a complete program. I love the messaging, and I love the social context, because I think anytime you can create a dialogue and create an event out of it, and if it is appropriate and you can aim towards the educational system, it's a different marketplace. But boy, is there a need for responsible product in that marketplace.
I mean, just one word, other thing about distributors. Distributors are very paranoid about cannibalization. That word comes up a lot. It's like, oh no, it's going to be shown and nobody will ever buy it. And I think that the studies show that that's not actually true. I mean, the more people you show your movie to, the more people are probably going to want to see it. So you can go to a screening. I guess 40% of people who actually go to movies actually buy the DVD. So people who come to your screening, even if you're not charging, might want to buy a DVD. So I think even though we distributors frequently cry piracy, cannibalization, all of that, there's another side to the story.
More questions?
I just read a book called How Not to Make a Short Film, Secrets from a Sundance Programmer, so we can talk about it later. Hi, my name is Roberta, and I have a question for Christine. I think at the tender age of 43, I definitely am not schlepping from Echo Park to the Sunset 5. I'm not one of those people who's doing that. And so I hear you, I'm like, yeah, it's been a long time since I saw a movie there. But I do go to the ArcLight in those comfy seats, and I do, to see Far From Heaven. And my question is, I wait for the more glossy, beautiful, well-acted, well-structured, brilliant films like Far From Heaven. Do you think that because there is this whole generation of people, gays, who are, waiting for the really slick movies, that we're not, running out to see the more rough and tumble productions at the Sunset 5?
Yeah, but there's more gays being born every day. I mean, that's your generation,
Right.
and you're very. I mean, you're very similar to people of your generation who aren't gay in that sense. I mean, I like to think that there is a new and burgeoning independent cinema. It's not just gay, but that maybe most of us on this panel don't even know anything about. Because it's coming out and popping out in ways that we don't even, websites we don't know about, that we don't look at, and that's why, I mean, I don't love mumblecore films, but I love that they're there, and just because I don't love watching them doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of people who do. So, look, when I decide what movie I'm going to go see, I have a 9-year-old, half the time it's Bolt.
Right.
But that's because of where I am in my life. That doesn't mean that there isn't room for all these other movies.
Absolutely. I mean, I buy the tickets online. That's what I do.
By the way,
I buy your
Sunset
tickets
5
online.
has new seats.
Do they? That's awesome. Good to know. I'll put that on my website.